Welcome back to part 7 of my Lilac Linen series. I'm getting ready to work on the tie front bodice today, and I just wanted to give you a quick peek before I get started. Here's my sewing machine and a quick look around my studio setup. Fabric, pattern pieces, and camera all in place and everything nice and neat so I can film this part for you guys. I pulled out the original version of McCall's M7789 that I made a few years ago. It doesn't fit me anymore, but I wanted to show you what the finished look looks like. And here's the pattern envelope next to that old project, plus a close-up of the fabric that I used back then. It was such a pretty find from Mood Fabrics. Now we're jumping in with pattern piece number 1, the tie front bodice. I'm unpinning it here and making a note to add an extra inch at the seam and also at the bottom for reinforcement so it won't pull apart when I tie it. Here, I'm stitching the 4 pieces of the bodice together, both lining and outer fabric. Once those are done, I set them aside and grab pattern piece number 2, which is the back bodice. I make my notches, line everything up, and sew the side seams. You'll notice I'm using red thread and a longer stitch length. I like doing that because it's easier to see if I make a mistake, and the long stitches come out super quick with a seam ripper. Next up, I'm adding a little featherweight boning at the side seams just to give the bodice some stability. I clip it to size, switch over to my zipper foot, and I use my awl, this little pointy thing, to help guide everything through smoothly. And yes, I know I need a nail fill. Mind your business. My appointment's tomorrow. Anyway, back to boning. This just helps the bodice hold its shape so it doesn't collapse on the sides. And yep, right here I messed up. But that's why I use red thread. It makes it easy to rip out the stitches and redo it. Quick fix and we're back on track. Before I start sewing again, I lay both bodice pieces out on the floor with right sides facing. I grabbed my comfy pillow, got down on the floor, and started pinning along the side seams, across the top, and underneath the tie front. This part is all about making sure everything's lined up before heading back to the machine. Alright, I'm back at it, sewing along the side seams, across the top, and underneath the tie front. This is really where the bodice starts to come together. One thing about me, I actually find this part relaxing. It's just me, my machine, and the sound of stitches. Sewing can feel almost therapeutic until the machine acts up, and then it's a whole different story. You'll notice I'm still pulling pins as I go, just keeping everything nice and flat. Nothing fancy here, just taking my time and letting the machine do its thing. And honestly, this is the part I love to zone out on, because once these seams are in, I can start to really see the shape of the bodice forming. It's the little progress moments that keep me motivated. Once the front and back are sewn together, you can really see the red thread pop on camera. I trim down my seam allowances so the edges will press nice and flat when I turn it inside out. I use my little pointer tool to push the seams out, then take it over to the ironing board for a good press so everything lays crisp. After giving everything a good press, I'm back at the machine, tacking down the side seams and underneath the bodice so it's nice and secure. Then I lay both pieces out flat to get an aerial view of how it's coming together. I get back down on the floor and tie the front just to give you guys an idea of the shape. Nothing fancy, just a simple knot so you can see how it lays. I smooth it out a bit, adjust it so it looks clean, and then go ahead and pin it on my dress form. It's not perfect yet, but this step gives me a little preview of how the bodice will look once everything is put together. Here's the first look at my tie bodice on my dress form Genevieve. She used to be my exact measurements, but not anymore. Still, she's perfect for showing what the shape looks like. It's pinned, not perfect, but that's the point of muslin. This is where I test and make mistakes before cutting into my final fabric. And that's part 7. Thanks for hanging out with me in the studio. In part 8, I'll move on to the midriff section and start working on the pants.